Welcome to the JMark Business Innovation Technology Experience.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Hopefully, you are getting notifications and logging in with super excitement. And sorry, I have a bug that is chasing me. But today we're going to talk about a pretty interesting topic. Dax and I were talking a little bit about this the other day as we were preparing for an email and some other stuff. And there's so much changing in the world, and we at the beginning of COVID-19, we started talking about a better normal. We started talking about meeting people, meeting your customers where they are, and we have seen just an absolute massive change in the world. The people that I know that generally love to go out and love to go places. Oftentimes, they're saying now that's they'd rather just stay home. I used to enjoy going out to the store every now and then just to be somewhere different because I work from home all the time. And now I get all my groceries delivered, and that's just a massive change. So what are some different areas you guys have seen, or what are some of the different changes you guys have seen in your lives, and also in the news and everything? I'm sure we've all seen them, and we'll kind of take the conversation from there.
Yeah, I think, Todd, that's the thing is separate from the discussion you and I were having that you talked about, I've read the same articles about the same effect that it's not just your perception of people around us, people it actually is happening. That is one thing where businesses are struggling with, as this idea of reopening has been happening throughout the summer and moving into, now we're in the fall. There has been a spike where people did get back out initially when businesses started reopening, but then that kind of fell off as the pandemic continued, and people did kind of settle into what you're talking about, where they're looking to get their services in another way rather than going out, whether it's across the board, whether it is having groceries delivered, whether it's doing their banking or other services, that type of thing, consulting things online, whether it's doctor visits that they're doing virtually instead of in person, whether it's getting food delivered from restaurants, that all of these things, that customer behavior really has changed. And I think, I think about it, and I think a lot of what it is it's accelerated. These were changes that were already possible for businesses to do these types of things before COVID-19. This is something for a long time that customers have been like poking around at the idea of getting grocery deliveries and that kind of stuff. But what happened in 2020 was we just saw an immediate acceleration of the demand for these things and of the need for businesses to suddenly be ready to provide their services and their goods in another way.
Yeah, I think that a lot of business owners and executives and just a lot of people in general were kind of in this wait and see mode for many months. Let's just it's going to go back to normal. Things will be the same, maybe a little bit different. But I don't think anybody imagined the just massive transformation that is occurring. There are the many hotel chains are working on changing their hotels to a more what is it called, a kind of a work, what's that word, it's like a place where people can go and work. like a temporary workspace. You have the going back to retail, you have this massive push to online sales and to marketplaces such as Amazon. Oftentimes it's in, you know you can still buy tons of stuff from Amazon before this year, but it seemed like it was easier just to go price shop online. Go to Walmart, go to Best Buy, go to different places to look for something. And now you have these marketplaces where, Walmart has their own marketplace where people can sell through Walmart, and so does Amazon. And so it's easier just to go to this central marketplace, and almost everybody can do it. It's almost turned into somewhat of an eBay situation where people are buying stuff and then selling it on Amazon. And that transformation is just so big, and it is so critical to, or it's technology that is doing it all. It's technology that's playing the pivotal role in the transformation. So it's a big change.
Yeah, and it can, and that's, I think it's important to note that it's a big opportunity, not just a change. I personally, this was another thing you and I had talked about, Todd, that over the weekend, I can't remember if it was this weekend or the weekend previous, but I had kind of realized that I was, I'd been home spending so much time in my house in the same places, and I kind of was like, I want to redecorate some things because I've been seeing the same views for all of these months. It's time for a change. So I went online to Amazon, and I ended up buying from individual retailers, and these were some small businesses. One of the things, I bought some house plants from a small family-owned farm business that had this opportunity and was able to reach me. These guys were in somewhere, I want to say it was like Kentucky or somewhere like that, but I'm not even remotely in the real world able to buy from these people. But now I could. Now suddenly I am in their market because I was able to reach them through this marketplace that you're talking about, and that's a huge opportunity.
Yeah, and the other thing about it that I was just thinking about is that the changes to how everything has gone online has totally shifted the return the return process. So, for example, in a typical brick and mortar store, you have to have people to take returns. It is more profitable for you to get returns because you have to pay those employees that are there, and you have infrastructure, and you have all these things. Well, you buy something from Amazon and it's messed up, most likely they're going to say, throw it away, keep it, do what you want. I ordered a 50-inch, two 50-inch duffel bags for some things I was doing, and they sent me eight, and I contacted them because they were $50 each, and they were on sale, half price, and so I contacted them, and they're like, do what you want with them, don't worry about it. Think about what that means for technology. Technology is creating so much profit, so much efficiency, that Amazon can afford to not even worry about it. I was talking to my brother the other day. He works for UPS, and he said there are hundreds of semis full of return items sitting down in somewhere, UPS somewhere, and there's nothing they can do with them. And I found out recently that you can go onto Craigslist and buy a trailer full of Amazon return items, and it's a surprise what you get. But that's more profitable for them because of technology, which is astounding to think about.
It is. That's crazy. Switching gears a little bit, I read the statistic. It says of companies that haven't started a digital transformation, 59% fear it might be too late. So I wanted to get your take on that and how you feel about that.
Yeah, I think it depends on the type of business you're in. There's going to be some changes in the oil and gas industry, but I think that'll be more on supply chain and other things. You're going to see massive changes in retail. If you are, in a brick and mortar store, then I definitely agree with that. Entertainment venues, that kind of thing is going to go through massive changes. People are just getting more comfortable being around themselves, I guess, being around others, and so it's like watching a movie in your house, and that's all good. But then you have doctors' offices, and you have hospitality. Hospitality seeing big changes right now, and so there's tons of this digital transformation that is happening. And it goes back to what we were talking about just a little bit ago, in that so many people, I think, were just in this wait and see mode, instead of, we got to get on this, because when we get out of this, it's going to be a totally different landscape. And I think, like, now people are, I'm hoping, it appears to me people are getting beyond that wait and see, and they're into, holy crap, we gotta shift and adjust. And so I'd agree with it, and it's definitely been an acceleration of a year for sure.
Yeah, I would say, to me, I hate the idea that somebody might have the defeatist attitude that it's too late, because it's only too late if you're just going to follow and do exactly what somebody else is doing, and just sort of this nebulous idea of digital transformation. But if you come up with a strategy and you sit down and decide, how are we going to take technology, take the opportunities that technology can give us, and serve our customers better, provide our services in a new way, how are we going to do this? Then it's not too late, and the idea should be not to continue to wait. I think sometimes when people think it's too late, they kind of fall back into the, well, I'll wait and see what the next thing is. But you're not going to be ready for the next thing unless you start now and start making these changes and start creating the strategy that's going to help you make these changes and take advantage of them.
Yeah, and that's the thing that, we've talked about this for years, but it's coming to a head now in how important it is. But for years we've talked about how people don't, when they're looking at solving strategic problems, they rarely are looking at technology as the first step in that discussion. It's often around process and around people, and technology is kind of people, process, technology. It kind of gets put on the end. But now we are seeing what should be the opposite. I mean, it's really, you have to focus on the technology. You have to ask yourself, what am I missing that could solve this problem? Or what kinds of problems are there out there that could be solved by technology? I mean, we have the communication and collaboration symposium coming up in a few weeks, and we're going to be talking about communication and collaboration, all these different things that solve problems that aren't directly related to everything going on right now, but they are very related. It's about internal connectedness as a company. It's about culture. It's about communications, and it's about maintaining everything that's moving forward. And those are strategic problems that J-Mark got ahead of. So we looked forward and went, in the future, if this were to happen, how could we maintain our communication and collaboration? And these are the kind of tools that people need. But just going back to what you said, it's so important to look at technology from the standpoint of what can this do to solve my problem, and then also to, we only know what we know. It's not an insult to anybody. If there was a medical issue, I'm not an expert. If there was a farming issue, gardening, I'm not an expert. But that's why we talk about, you do what you do best. Bring in someone like JMark that truly understands your industry, that truly understands how technology works in it, to help solve those problems, because oftentimes you don't even know what questions to ask.
Yeah, Todd, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. That's what I was waiting to say, is that find a partner that can help you figure out these technology answers and figure out the questions. I think, and one that's going to help you think these way. Todd, you mentioned looking at technology and how can technology solve this problem. And that, I think, is a extremely important mindset to have in this day and age. And it's interesting because that's not my personal mindset. Like, I am one of these people that I easily fall back into, this is my traditional way of doing things. This is how I've always done things. This is where my comfort zone is. And my mind doesn't go to finding technology solutions. But working at JMark and being surrounded by people who think that way has changed my own way of thinking. And I have started looking that way. And that's the advantage of having, in my case, it's coworkers and other people who are passionate about technology and knowledgeable, and who spend all of their time immersed in learning about the new technologies and learning about what's coming. And so a business can do that too. Your MSP, you need to find a partner that's going to help you think that's going to be that, help you into that process and be that partner for you that's going to help you achieve that.
And it's not always about technology. It's more than just technology. It's technology strategy. There are plenty of people a lot of people have internal IT staff, and they are great with technology, but they're in their own little world, like we were just talking about. You have to have the technology strategy, because otherwise it's not about blinking lights. It's not about software always. It's just, there's different ways to do it.
Yeah, when you talk about finding a partner who's going to help with this strategy, when I was doing a little bit of research for this, I found this stat that says fewer than 30% of a company's technology vendors are actively involved in their digital transformations, which is kind of shocking to me.
I don't actually find it shocking, because this goes back to, we just created this buyer's guide that we're releasing like in the next week or so. And the reason we did it is because it's so stinking frustrating to buy IT services, because we've gone up head to head with competitors that we know do not do the same level of services that we do, whether it's patch management or monitoring or technology strategy. And they put the buzzwords in their marketing literature and convince people that that's actually what they do, and they don't. There is a massive difference between what the industry calls VCIO services, or virtual chief information officer services, and true, strategic information services. There's a lot of companies offer, they call it strategy they call it a QBR, quarterly business review. But very few are doing anything but looking at the past couple months and talking about ways to improve. it's shameful for our industry that there are so many people that that claim to be providing all this technology services and strategy services, but they can't even handle patch management.
Yeah, I think that's an important takeaway, that if the people you're surrounded by, the people that are giving you your answers about technology, aren't helping you with that strategy, that doesn't mean, I mean, don't be satisfied with that. If you need and want that help, and you should, because this can help your business, with digital transformation and with being more competitive, being in the right spot moving forward. Don't be satisfied if you're not getting those answers. Find somebody who's going to give you those answers. I think that's a lesson, that I would point to somebody at JMark. I would point to you, Todd, that have taught me that, where I know there are times where I'd just be like, well, I kind of looked and I didn't really see a technology answer to this problem. And you're unsatisfied and you're like, no, there's somebody out there that has figured this out. I'm going to find that person. And inevitably a day or two later, you'll come to me and be like, here's the answer that you didn't find. And I've got to, kind of eat crow and be like, hey, you're right. There is somebody out there figuring out an answer to nearly everything with technology. And, you got to have that drive, and you need a partner that's going to help you have the drive to solve those problems.
Yeah, the interesting thing too is oftentimes the answers are coming from your customers. Depending on where they are. I was thinking about, when I go visit my parents, there's this road where it's not really a 90-degree to turn right onto it. It's kind of at this weird angle, and the pavement, doesn't have a nice turn lane. And what has happened is, over the course of the years, people have made their own turn lane in the dirt. And it is it is a nice big, because it's the natural way that people turn. It's not like doing this massive, almost like a U-turn of sorts on this weird angle. And I bring that back to, everything we're going through right now, because, if you just look out there, there's things like, we've seen these tablets that to replace notebooks, where you can write on them. They feel like paper. The pen feels like a real pen, and you write on it. You can erase it. You can start over, and you can save it to a cloud application. We see these changes happening in schools. Schools are going through massive transformation right now, and teachers are trained to teach in a classroom. They're not trained in school to teach in this manner of virtual and/or classroom. And there is a huge change in, keeping people's attention on a Zoom call, or even on the student side. We have very young kids now using Chromebooks and using tablets and using other things for their education, because of all of the changes. And that's not going to go away. It's not going to be, hey, everybody turn in your computers and your tablets and pull out your book. People are be like, a book? This is heavy. Why do I need this book? I remember my son in stinking, I don't know, 4th grade. He had this adult-sized backpack full of all these stinking books. And now it's, just a laptop. And so you have to look at your customers, the people that you serve, and see what they're doing. Are they creating their own path? Are they creating their own workaround? Are they going somewhere else because of a certain feature or a certain functionality? Is there something about your product or your services or your model that is turning people away? And those are the kind of things that we really have to ask. And I think sometimes the best judge is to ask some of your favorite clients.
And the flip side of that, what are the services that maybe you're providing that your customers are really tuned into, that they really like, that you might be kind of taken for granted? They might be something that is not your main focus, and you don't even realize that this is one of the things that your customers love about you, or the way you do things. And I think that that idea of really taking that hard look goes both ways.
Okay, Christina, here's
So,
the stat.
I'm stat girl today. So this is very interesting. I think this topic in general is interesting because I'm finding a lot of stuff that I'm like, whoa. So 65% of companies are positive about their ability to adapt to technological disruption over the next 3 years. So that seems really high to me. I wonder, do you think that a lot of those people are maybe overconfident? And then how can they know? Like, these people think, but how can they know? Or can they know?
I mean, to an extent. I mean, you can see the road ahead of you in many areas, but there's always, you always can have a big rock dump on your head like COVID-19, and that will change everything. But I don't know the answer to that. I think business owners in general, and I want to be careful of saying this, but business owners in general are highly confident in a strategy. That's just how they're wired. But without the right partners, without the right data, without the right technology in place, it's not possible. I mean, it's easy to say, we can do such and such, but what's the strategy to get there? And sometimes that strategy is evolutionary for an organization. Big changes.
I think it also, I think about the idea of being prepared and understanding the path to get somewhere. And there's also, there's that, but there's also understanding the most efficient way to take that path. And I think that's where your MSP, your technology partner, can play such a vital role, where someone like at JMark, where we have spent so much time figuring out the processes, figuring out how to avoid the pitfalls of taking a company and streamlining their technology and making things more efficient. And we've figured out the processes we need to do, and we already know we do this and we do these things. Here's the problems that might happen. We've already prepared. We've got answers so that those aren't going to disrupt the work that you're doing. And I think that is a vital component that can get overlooked sometimes. When people think that they're ready to do this, you might be able to do this and get there, but can you do it and get there quicker, more efficiently, and save yourself disruption and save yourself stress and headaches and trouble?
Yeah, and there's just the changes that are happening are just they're so small, but they're so transformational. I was thinking the other day I heard a radio ad from a place to change your oil, and they said you don't even have to get out of your car. You just pull up, we change your oil, and you leave. And I was thinking, man, that's awesome. I don't have to wait somewhere. I don't have to strategically pick a oil place that's near a restaurant so I can go grab something to eat while it's being done. I can just drive through, get in. And while technology didn't necessarily play a role in that transformation, it's probably on the back end doing something. There's logistics to figure out. There's the queuing of everybody. There's what do you do if there's too many cars, and how do you distribute things? The getting the receipts and payment done without having to go into an office. They're probably doing it just right there on some type of a tablet or something. That's all technology oriented. And so I think that's something that people need to look at, is that may not look like a big change. If you're a big Jiffy Lube or something, you may think, oh, that's nothing, that's nothing, but that's very attractive. It's a little tiny thing that is very attractive, and it's technology that's playing a part in that transformation. And if others don't adapt, then they're going to be their loss.
I have a stat for you. 70% of digital transformations fail, most often due to resistance from employees.
Well, everybody likes change, so.
True.
Yeah, I think I think that's just it. Most of us are always, our first reaction is going to be to resist the change. And I think a huge part of that is because we have all gone through painful changes, and where they weren't planned out well, they weren't implemented well, and it disrupted our lives, disrupted our work, and it was troublesome for us. And so that's why people resist it. And I think that's, again, like why it's so important to partner with a technology partner that's going to help you plan and map out, coming back to Todd's favorite word, strategy, the strategy in the process of making these changes so that they're not painful. Making these changes, I'm pretty sure we talked about this in a previous podcast, where, at JMark, we're going to go in, we're going to sit down with somebody and look at everything that needs to be done, and figure out, how are we going to do this in light of what you want to achieve, in light of your goals, so that this might need to be done first because this is more urgent for where you want to be. This is important, but we can wait a little bit. We'll do this at this time because you have this very busy season, and every single one of these things are going to be part of the conversation and going to be taken into account so that we can remove that pain from the change. And people are still going to resist it, but hopefully the end result is that a lot of these changes are happening and your employees don't even know they're happening. They just know that things are getting better.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'll bet money that stat specifically is probably from 2019, and because in my experience, technology change is not equal to other types of change. It's not the same level of discomfort. Discomfort. It's because people have been trained for years on moving to technology. They use their phone. That started out as just a dumb device, to a flip phone, to a BlackBerry or something like that, and now you have a totally smart device that's more powerful than the spaceship that went to the moon, and you can shop on it. I actually prefer shopping a lot of times on my phone than I do going to a website. It's just faster. And so you have people that are trained in this. And in my experience, the technology changes usually give people time. They relieve stress. They give people productivity. They give people a sense of accomplishment. They encourage and they facilitate success. And there are people that any change, no matter what, it sucks. But in my experience, technology change, especially after the big blow of change of COVID-19, everything is easy after that. But technology change really, for the most part, I think people embrace it. I think they gravitate towards it, and it's not just about getting a more powerful computer or something like that. It's about automation, and it's about velocity and getting things done.
Okay, can I throw out a stat, or am I gonna? Is that your job today, Christina?
I'll allow it.
Okay. So this one, I think, to me, was really eye-opening. 80% of 87% of companies think digital will disrupt their industry, but only 44% are prepared for that potential digital disruption.
Didn't Christina already read that one?
You did.
I think we talked about it before this.
Maybe we did, but I think that's.
Yes.
I mean, it's eye-opening. It's, these are companies that know the change is coming, but are not prepared for it. And I guess my first thought is, well, if you're not prepared, hopefully you're preparing, like you're in the process. But if you're not, my question is, what are you waiting for? Like, what's holding you back from being prepared for this thing is going to happen?
Yeah, it's digital transformation. The term has been thrown around for years. I mean, I gave a presentation on it in 2018 at our JBITS conference, and I was hesitating even doing it because it was like, I mean, this is kind of old news, and that was 2018, and we've seen digital transformation progress like no other, and it's not really a question anymore of if. It's, you have to do it. I mean, things have changed so much that most industries, if they do not change their technology, their processes through technology, how their people use technology, they're not going to come out on top on the other side. It is this is a foundational change in behavior of customers, in markets, in industries. That is, I mean, when you really start looking at it, it is huge. I could talk for hours on just all the changes I have seen across every industry in the last 6 months. I mean, it's not, either you get on board or you start figuring out a succession plan or selling your company.
Yeah, I think, another couple stats. Digitally mature companies are 23% more profitable than their less mature peers. 56% of CEOs say digital improvements have led to increased revenue. Digital first companies are 64% more likely to achieve their business goals than their peers.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, you just have to say Amazon after one of those. I mean, like we talked about earlier, they don't care about returns because it's more expensive. They've used technology in such an efficient manner that those kind of costs for, probably thousands of trailer semi-fulls across the nation of stuff. It's just write it off. It is what it is. So it's true, definitely.
Yeah, these are the companies that are taking, that are seeing this as an opportunity, not as a burden that you have to go through, but an opportunity. And I think that's, to me, that's a mindset to have. Like, what opportunities can making these changes open up to us? And how do we leverage technology to do something that no one else in our market is doing, and to bring in customers? And that's, we've talked about this again and again. It's always just about connecting with your customers. You started out this entire conversation, Todd, by talking about meeting your customers where they are. And I think that's what matters.
Yeah, it's a evolving world, and I think that, as we've talked about, that there's not a more important time than there's ever been in the history of business that we have to take technology seriously and have to look at technology and look at how it can solve strategic problems and look at how it can solve the needs and wants and behaviors of our customers and our clients, our revenue sources. And as we embrace technology, as we embrace the ability of technology to create efficiencies in our businesses, then we will see this massive transformation in success and profitability and competitive just competitive awareness, being more competitive than your competitors, and it's a need. It's not as we go into the end of the year, or anytime whenever someone listens to this, watches it, it's get your people together and start talking. Talk to customers, talk to industry experts, talk to technology experts like JMark, and figure out what are the next steps, because it's a requirement. And everybody is a technology business, as our CEO likes to say, and technology is going to be the thing that separates the winners from the losers. So as always, if you want to learn more about JMark and some of the things we do, reach out to us at jmark.com. And in the coming week, we have an amazing, awesome resources that we're going to be sharing. One is a Billionaires IT Secrets Black Book, where we took some awesome lessons. It's a fun read, a very easy read, that give valuable lessons for change and for adapting. And then after that, we have also a buyer's guide and an assessment that you can use to understand truly how to buy IT services and what the different options look like. So have a wonderful week, and please reach out to us. Thank you.
Thank you for attending this podcast. We hope it has been informative and helped convey that at JMark, we are people first and technology second. To learn more and discover additional content relevant to your business, please visit us online at jmark.com or at LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You may also call us at 844-44-JMark. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you again.